Hey, how you doing? So this is Dr. Suh at Specific Chiropractic NYC. So we're gonna do something new for you viewers over here. So this is a Gonstead biomechanical X-ray analysis. So with this new patient, what we saw today, she was complaining about, okay, I got inguinal groin region level pain, and also when she's trying to lay down on the back or trying to do some prolonged sitting, can't do it. There's some coccyx regional pain. So when I hear a history like that, I'm considering it's okay, we got a potential either coccyx, Coccydynia, sacral problem or sacral segment problem, or possible hip/ilium misalignment. So let's take a closer look at these x-rays here. So the very first thing I'm looking for, are we dealing with a stable pelvic foundation? And the answer is no. So I always look at the lateral first. Is the sacral angle itself, is it a neutral position, or did it go posteriorwards, or did it go anteriorwards? We can see over here the sacrum has shifted anteriorwards. So what causes that potential problems? Either we're dealing with a PI, which means posterior inferiorwards, or EX, external rotation, or a combination PI-EX. What causes sacrum to go posteriorwards? Either there's going to be a posterior sacrum, base posterior sacrum, sacral segment problem, and AS-IN or ASIN, meaning anterior superior ilium over here, okay, or internal rotation of the ilium itself. So since we're dealing with an anterior sacrum, then I'm looking for a potential PI-EX. I'm not saying there is one, this is something we just need to rule out. So when we go over to the AP screen over here, then are we dealing with that potential problem? Well, here's the previous emphasis. The gluteal fold shadow is to the right, I'm sorry, to the left of that. So what causes that? Well, if we have an external rotation of it, that means the line, that's what we see over here, as you start to externally rotate, the lines start to shift. So that confirms, yes, we got that problem. We have an EX confirmation, or we may have an IN confirmation. Next component is, okay, the femoral acetabulum, is that level? No, it's sinking downwards on the left-hand side. What causes that? Well, the only thing that causes the femoral acetabulum to sink downwards, there's got to be a PI, EX, or a PI-EX, all right? So, next component is, what's the obturator foramen shadow, okay? What causes this one to be very tall? It's going to be a PI, EX, or PI-EX, all right? And also, what's the ilium width? Okay, is this a little more blade-like? Is it more narrow? Well, as the ilium itself becomes more externally rotated, it becomes, as we see here, more narrow in appearance over here, all right? And become more blade-like. In addition to, I want to confirm over here. Well, it's the same thing as well. This is narrow, this is also narrow compared to the right hip itself. So that all concludes as yes, we have a potential PI-EX. Now, here's the other thing though, all right? I'm taking a closer look at the sacral segments. I know it's a little hard to see because she has all this constipation, undigested fecal material all along the sigmoid colon, the transverse, ascending and descending colons. So that tells me, yes, her fifth lumbar nerve and the sacral nerves are not functioning at optimal best. But because all this bile gas is in the way, I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Her fifth, fourth, and third sacral segments are all level, except for number 2 over here, it's gapped and wedged towards this way. On the lateral also shows that as well. There is a bubble over here, and there's a posterior V-shaped gap over here. So, because the sacral segment, second sacral segment has shifted towards this way, that's why all her lumbar vertebrae also shifted towards the left as well. So now, going back to the history, and also we've got to confirm on the patient herself, okay? What are we really dealing with? Are we dealing with a sacral segment problem, a sacrum, or ilium problem? Now, other thing is this, because on the history, she's talking about, again, the inguinal groin pain, okay, and difficulty prolonged sitting. Now, because I see this problem and that problem, I tested and confirmed with the patient, yes, that really was the problem, the second sacral segment. But here's the thing, I still wanted to rule out, make sure the ilium truly wasn't a problem. That's why I did a Xray and the Gonstead seated examination. Why? Because there are ligaments that are attaching from the ilium to the sacrum itself. So if the ilium itself goes into external rotation, what's going to happen, right? Just like we see over here, okay, we see there's a ligament that attaches from here to the sacrum itself. So as instead it becomes externally rotated, okay, it's gonna yank and pull on these ligaments over here and also the musculature in a way, and therefore it's gonna start disturbing the sacral segments itself. So it may cause a false positive sacral segment problem. So again, that's what to confirm on the patient themselves. See, are we really dealing with a sacral segment or are we dealing with a hip misalignment? So not only EX, but also could the IN cause that potential problem? Possible. Why? Well, as the hip itself goes into internal rotation, you see over here, this can act like a crowbar. It's gonna simply just nudge it and push it even further in, cause the sacral segment no choice but to go rotate more forward anterior on the right hand side. So again, that's why we have to rule out a potential ASIN or internal rotation or a combination ASIN that could cause that potential false positive in sacral segments. All right, so we got that problem. Now here's the other thing too, that if we do adjust this second sacral segment, we're going to cause a potential future problem. Why? Well, this is where not only am I looking at things in a three-dimensional aspect, we also have to look at things in the fourth-dimensional aspect, meaning just like a chess grandmaster who sees all the pieces that goes in a domino effect, what are the future moves going to happen? This is where it's very imperative, because if we don't educate the patient to know what we're expecting, what is the potential domino effect, well, by addressing this, it's going to make the sacrum more anteriowards, may cause the left hip to be more aggravated, and also with this inferior and fifth lumbar go more posteriorwards and irritating that fifth lumbar nerve, causing more constipation and sciatica. Then the patient says, wait a second, I felt more stable today, and the next day I says, oh my goodness, I have the sciatica, I haven't felt this left hip pain in a long time, I can't go to the toilet. My goodness, doc, you son of a gun, what did you do to me, right? But if I preface it says, I just want to let you know, because we have to triage this, we have to address one layer of a problem after another. Well, yes, the left PIX is the original old problem over here, okay? If we adjust this one over here, it's going to make the sacrum more anteriourwards, all right? And because we have a posterior inferior of the fifth lumbar vertebrae, meaning the lumbar vertebrae has shifted posterior and inferiorwards, as you see, the foramen collapses and irritates that fifth lumbar nerve, which innervates the sexual organs and the intestines, and also legs, knees, feet, so on and so forth, okay? So by making this more anteriourwards, going more forwards, it's gonna make this fifth lumbar more backwards and posterior and inferior as well. So I let the patient know, we have no choice, we do have to make this a little more anteriourwards. You gotta ice this down, but don't worry about it. If you do experience those discomforts, on the next following visit, I'm gonna keep an eye on what's going on this left hip over here. When we adjust this one, it's gonna make the femoral acetabular line more level. It's gonna take the rotation out of that pelvis. And in addition to, it's gonna also address that posterior inferior. So that means overall, okay, the sacrum is, the ilium over here, posterior inferiorwards, externally rotated and sunk thatwards. By addressing that PIX, we're gonna re-level it. But also, that being said, when it does so, it's going to make the sacrum more posteriorwards, closer to the neutral position, and also it's going to make the fifth lumbar a little more anteriorwards, opening up the foramen over here, giving some more breathing room for that fifth lumbar nerve over here. Now, there's another thing I also forgot to mention, but I also see biomechanically wise. I do see some arthritic changes in the femoroacetabular joint space. What causes that? Well, typically what causes that particular problem is we're dealing with either an ASIN, or a rotated sacrum. So that's why I also alluded to me, says, you know what? That's what tells me that sacral segment she got over there, it's a very old problem, long enough that it caused the misalignment to the pelvis itself, more instability, and the femoroacetabular joints start to degrade and go into DJD, degenerative joint disease. Her orthopedic doctor was initially recommending, the bilateral, both hip replacement. But as long as we restabilize the pelvis itself, the body will reabsorb the sclerosis over here and it will self-correct the DJD going on over there. So now, that being said, because I did let the patient know about, once again, second sacral segment, makes it more interior, we're going to address this one over here, and as it does so, it's going to reduce and improve that fifth lumbar vertebrae. But still, at the same token, later on in a future visit, we still have to address this fifth lumbar inferiority. All right? So now, because we let the patient know about it in advance, what's going on with all these future moves, the patient builds more trust to us and says, hey, wow, this guy was right on the money. He told me this is the particular problem. Now we're addressing this and this and this, all right? And later on, we'll discuss that in future cases. Right? What we want to do is pretty much unwind the whole entire spine out and reduce less nerve pressure to rest the spine itself, okay? So that's what the case is for this one over here. I hope you liked this video. If you got any more questions on the biomechanical analysis on this particular case, go ahead, leave a comment below, like and share this case. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Take it easy.